My name is Heidi Israelson. I teach ceramics at Springville High School. I wanted to be part of this video because I think it's really important to talk about mental illness and to reduce the shame around it. It's something that a lot of people deal with and is becoming more and more prevalent in our society, and there is no reason to be ashamed of it. I have dealt with major depression and major anxiety for the last 10 years, and sometimes have been really good and sometimes have been really bad, like really, really bad. When I'm stressed, it gets worse.
My name is Carly Carter. I am the Springville High School nurse. I think mental health is so important because people don't realize how prevalent it is in our community.
My name is Mrs. Bangeter. I teach 10th and 11th grade English here at Springville High. I was a freshman or sophomore in college. My sister told us that she had been struggling with a drug addiction, actually. And most of the time, drug addictions aren't drug addictions. There's a lot of underlying facts. And that was part of the reason why she had turned to drugs, was she wanted to lose the weight. And I remember thinking to myself at that point, you know, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna prove to her that you can lose weight and be healthy about it, that you don't have to turn to drugs for these things. That kind of led me down a spiral that at that point I started to really get depressed. I wasn't paying attention to friends. I didn't have any friends. For that whole year in college, I pretty much stayed home. I did my homework, I did a lot of schoolwork, and I lost a lot of weight. Learned a lot about myself at that point, and I learned how your emotions and your mental health really affect you. That it wasn't the eating disorder, it was what was going on behind that I was really hurt that my sister did this to us, and that I was uncomfortable in my own skin, that I had lost a lot of confidence, that I needed to take care of things in my own life.
My name is Mrs. Allred, but most everyone calls me Miss A. It's become a nickname that caught on my first year of teaching and has stayed that way. What happened to me as a kid caused me to have severe anxiety, severe depression. I had people, and I'm sure those people who are overweight get this, but in college I struggled with weight the most, and I still struggle off and on. I do.
I'm Mr. Mike Sell. I teach English. I have a family member who has severe struggles with bipolar disorder, and she is not getting the help that she needs, and it's really destroyed her life because she just has a hard time asking for help. You know, I've struggled with depression and anxiety my entire life. I think what was hard for me is, you know, it was probably in my early 20s when I first really started to notice it, and I didn't really understand what I was going through. And so I think the hardest thing for me was finally realizing, waking up one day and it's wait, that's what this is. This is depression. This is severe depression. It was very awkward to go and talk to my parents, who suggested I go talk to the doctor, and you know, it was awkward talking to him as well. I didn't want to do it.
And I did start to go to therapy, and that made a huge difference. It did. It made a huge difference. The past 2 years have been so much better. I'm still struggling with my weight, but the past 2 years have been wonderful.
I really gave into it, and I let myself be healed, and I said, this isn't what I'm about. I want to spend my days in happiness. And it took a real change, and it took something that it was really hard to do. I think that's, again, why mental health is so important, that otherwise you're living your life in complete darkness. If you're not going to let yourself be healthy, and you're not going to look for the help that you need, whether that's going to a therapist or talking to a friend, or sometimes it's just that you need to realize that maybe it's not okay what you're doing.
Reaching out to my family, spending time with my children, that really is a huge thing, and that to me is the number one thing that helps me cope when I'm having difficult times. I started taking some medication, which really has helped me a lot in my life. That's not the answer for everyone. I'm not recommending that people do that. You know, you've got to find what works best for you, but for me, that's made a huge difference in my life, my ability to cope with situations and, you know, not let it overwhelm me.
When you have those feelings of of self-doubt and those feelings that you get when you're in your very darkest and you think that nobody wants you here. It is not true.
Know that there are people who love you and care about you and want you to be successful. Your teachers care about you so much. Your parents and other family members care about you so much. Please, please, if you're struggling, let them know. It's so important, so essential.
If I could say one thing to high school kids, I would say don't sweat the small stuff.
Treat their mental health as if it were something like a broken bone, that if you had a broken bone, you would put a cast on it and let it heal for 6 weeks and not abuse that poor broken bone. That our brains are similar. We need to put a brace on them somehow, and that there's no shame in that, and that we need to support each other and not shame each other for mental health issues, and that there's lots of help out there.
The world won't be better off without you. The world needs you because you will be one of those people who can reach out to anyone who's having a rough day, who doesn't feel good about themselves, and you'll touch their life.